Welcome back to finally a lot of Lapis. That's just my Fantasy Brave Exvius. Let's talk about the awesome seasonal step-up banner that I can't afford. Now altogether this banner costs 24,000 Lapis, so almost immediately I noticed I can indeed afford this banner. Going through the whole banner will net you 52 units, which wouldn't really be any notable if it weren't for this banner's special characteristics. First off, this banner only includes limited time seasonal units and Lara Croft, and not only that, every unit that will appear is at least a 5-star unit. Meaning no Black Cat Lid, no not a 7-star Nicole, and no Christmas time carry. You don't even know who this is, do you? However, despite the banner's restrictions, the Neovision drop rate isn't particularly any better. It's still 3% with the exception of 2 guaranteed Neovisions, which means probability-wise, you have at least a 78% chance of getting 1 extra Neovision unit. Though of course there's no guarantee it'll be the one you want. However, there's a nice catch. At the 5th step, you get a ticket which you can exchange for a Neovision unit of your choice. This is great, because if you just want one of these units, you can cut the cost down to 19,000 Lapis, which is far better than their featured banners in the past. But are the Neovisions here really any good? Let's walk through them. Most of them see amplified play in Clash of Wills. Ibarra, a lightning or dark magic damage dealer who's also part tree. She doesn't have any support buffs though, so like most damage dealers, she'll be pretty susceptible to power creep. Eldrin, a hybrid ice damage dealer who can provide a strong beast killer buff, but his current chaining family and playstyle aren't too popular at the moment. Shui Yu, a water magic damage dealer who didn't get buffed. She does have some healing support, but doesn't have any resistance buffs to follow through. Full Moon Carton, a water and dark damage dealer that can also support said elements. He's a far better damage dealer though, and while he doesn't look like he doesn't have much else to offer, you'd be surprised at how few flexible damage dealers we've got and how much he's used as a result. Whimsical Winter Tiana. She's element locked, but she makes up for it by covering 5 different elements. She's also a bit of an extra support, covering the loose ends of things without actually covering what some might call necessary. Divine Beast Chow, a strong magic tank, though this dog is also a light locked magic damage dealer. As a magic tank, he has some strong support, and by beating up a Yeti and stealing his ball, you can abuse his counter ability to recover before your turn even starts. Lara Croft, a fire physical damage dealer with a 90% defense break. Her flexibility in defense break also makes her a strong contender for many Clash of Wills fights, though nowadays there are some strong competitors in that field. Ultimately, if I were to rank them in terms of usefulness, I'd say it's something like this. Chow is a pretty sturdy magic tank, so even if his damage is useless in a given fight, he'll still have a lot to bring to the table. Lara Croft and Carton are strong damage dealers, but unfortunately that role is so volatile that it only takes bigger numbers to usurp them. Tiana has nice damage and some support, but even having 5 elements doesn't necessarily mean flexible, so she's not always the most straightforward option. Eldrin and Ibarra really need their EX Awakenings to stand out from this cast, and even though it would help, their fundamental playstyle doesn't change. Ibarra prefers to be a dark magic damage dealer in Clash of Wills, but then faces off against Oliveira. Eldrin can be flexible in his base form, but Absolute Mirror of Equity just isn't the most favored family. The real threat to these units though? The future. The seasonal step-up summon only gives you past units, and who knows if someone else will appear again but much stronger. The damage dealers are pretty much outclassed by Esther, the breaks can be covered by Kaido or Wilk, and Sylvie practically covers most support. Still, even with that being said, half of them are in a pretty strong spot, and getting them can certainly help your team. In fact, there is a way they could get better. If the developers are so inclined, they could buff old units by updating their EX Awakenings or revamping whatever, but unfortunately at the moment we don't really know what's going on through their heads. Now there has been precedence for buffing old units. Eldrin and Ibarra received big boosts to their damage, but no fundamental change to their kit, which is a deal that works out pretty well for units like Carton or Lara Croft so long as the numbers are sufficient. However, then we have units like Shui Yu, who was just forgotten. Well, ultimately, 19,000 Lapis for 1 unit of your choice is a pretty good deal, and even though they're a bit owed, they're global original, which is still much better than most Neo-Japanese units. Personally, from this list I only have Chow, Lara Croft, and Eldrin. Eldrin I got by chance and didn't intend to do so at all, and I've probably used him less than 10 times. Chow and Lara Croft on the other hand, have been a part of every fight in Clash of Wills that I can remember. I didn't get Carton because I was never too interested, and I don't think that will change now that I have Esther. It's true a lot of fights could have been easier by throwing him into a team, but I still somehow managed to at least clear level 99, so I don't think I made a mistake by skipping. You do have to remember that I have units like Riser though, so for a less experienced player you may want to consider him. But what about the other banners, like this Neovision guaranteed step-up summon? You get a guaranteed Neo Vision unit on each step, and by the end of it you'll walk away with at least 10 guaranteed Neo Vision units for 28,000 Lapis. The bonus awards are Super Trust Mugo, Transcension Pearl, Mystery Crystals, and tickets for specific unit fragments, which are also quite nice. However, if you look at the drop rates, you see that you have an equal chance for every Neo Vision unit, which means while you might luck out and get someone like Sylvie, you have an equal chance to get a unit like Shiny Pants, who I don't really like because he said he's a better person than me. But I see over here one Neo Vision unit is from a curated pool. Who's that? Oh, it's old premium units. They're all very strong, though that's not to say they don't have flaws. Everyone except Esther is locked to their element, Yuna has to deal with her base form, Orin is just laughably lazy compared to the others, and Woke isn't even here. In the end though, the biggest flaw of this banner is the fact that Riser isn't included. I mean that it's up against the others. It's safer to chase Sylvie, Esther, or Woke than it is to aim randomly at the entire cast. But this is a very good banner to try your hand at if you're a beginner who has the time to re-row. And the newest units are in the banner, even though Woke actually isn't in the curated pool because they know he's much better than most of the others. Ultimately, the 6th anniversary has a lot to offer, but I'm in no position to take advantage of it because I wanted a pixelated vision card.